Hello, and welcome back to more Pillars of Eternity. Just jump right in. So, at the end of previous session, we came back to Cadnua and found a couple of things. First off, that a group whose name I forget, something about a torn banner, we're planning on attacking basically the greatest mage in the world, and that's not too far away from here, and if they manage to do that, they might come here next. And the other one was that someone in Defiance Bay is claiming to have legal ownership over Cadnua. So we're gonna have to take him to court and have a long drawn out trial and fight for ownership of the place that we've sunk a lot of money into. We've got nearer to being flogged currently. And then take us away escorting a caravan. We are building the south wall, I believe, yeah, 3 days. Oh, wait. Oh, the little icons to show that they're contracted. Fair enough. That makes sense. And we also right at the end hit a new level. I think we're up to level 5 now? I'm gonna have to double check that. I think it's either 5 or 6 we've reached, so we're getting stronger. It's level 6 we've reached.
The keep's coming along nicely.
Right, what was it we had to do? So for the Hollowing of Deerwood, we've got to... Oh yeah, find the place of misery and madness, because we infiltrated the Wadwin Temple. A wealthy neighborhood that also housed misery and madness. There was someone waiting there a prisoner by choice, so that's a district of Defiance Bay where the sanatorium is. Somewhere in there is this man. There's a man in a tower working in a machine, and a woman with a scar over her heart. In a derelict district of Defiance Bay. And Deerford Village. We've also got to go to Stalwart. To open up Durgan's Battery, a deserted dwarven fortress, and find the White Forge. Our quest list is getting large. The Torn Bannermen, that's what it was. They besieged the manor of Archmage Consulate. An expert somewhere in Defiance Bay, probably the sanatorium or some such. That's another thing for the sanatorium. The heirloom breastplate from Penhelm would prove the forgery of the man's documents regarding his soul. Tell somebody about the plot that the Thieves Guild was going to execute before we stumbled blindly in and murdered them all. Endless Paths. The Records Archive we still need to find. Oh, there are so many things. And the Ducal Palace in the First Fires District. Stolen Scroll that we need to recover. An abandoned farm in the path to Deerford. And we found a piece of an ancient sword that was underneath the keep in the Endless Paths. Let's go over to First Fires and deal with the legal issues promptly. Just solidify our ownership over Cadnua.
Bring back the feisty one. There's a woman can do some damage squeezing her legs together.
It isn't a parlor trick. Besides, she doesn't take orders well.
She has backbone, that woman. Does it scare you?
No, but I won't be responsible for what happens if you call her whore.
Politics, infighting, greed. And a shrine to Margaret as well. Her clergy belongs there.
Oh, hello. I'm looking for a neighborhood with a tower. It's near a cemetery. Best you stop looking then. The place you want is Heritage Hill. You can see the tower over the district walls out that way. That's to the northwest. But something happened there. They don't let people in anymore, and none of the knights want to be posted anywhere close to him. Steer clear if you know what's good for you. Where are the mad kept? Only place around here that takes them is in Brackenbury Sanitarium. I've heard they can treat your soul there. Take the madness away, but there's just as many stories coming out of that place that'll chill your blood. There's a man, if you want to call him that, Ethelmore there. He's head warden. If you're visiting or checking yourself in, he's the one to talk to. Cool, so we found info randomly from just talking to a guard. That makes sense, they would know their way around.
Margren's fire casts light in dark places.
You give me any more gifts and people will start thinking you're playing favorites.
Sure, just steal all the helmets. Did I ever unload my inventory? It's pretty empty, that's fine.
Hello.
The young woman wears a simple but well-tailored uniform. She watches the comings and goings around her with quiet attention. Any news to share, or are you just here to see the ducal palace? What's a ducal palace? It's a seat of government here in Defiance Bay. This is where Duke Admeth Hadrit declared freedom from Aediran rule some 150 years ago. It's also a hotbed of regional politics. Trust me, the gossip here beats what you'll find in any tavern or brothel in the sea. Ah, dear wooden politics. It changes too quickly to be worth keeping up with. Better to strike up conversation in the taverns than try to loiter inconspicuously in the palace corridors. Who are you? I'm a page here at the palace. I deliver messages and run errands for the Duke and his advisors. The pay's not great, but I can't think of a better introduction to politics. What goes on in here? Where to start? We've got meetings, public hearings, and ceremonies, and that's just the stuff that happens out in the open. This is where the Duke and his key advisors work, so there's always someone bartering for a favour. Unfortunately, I'm not at liberty to talk about that side of things. But if you want the official version, we have a shrine devoted to Magran, official records, and chambers for public hearings and council meetings. Tell me about the Shrine of Magran. It's a symbol of Magran's protection of Defiance Bay. She represented the revolutionary spirit of the Dirbid ever since independence, and her involvement in creating the Godhammer bomb only affirmed her importance to us. And that's also where the first of the sacred fires burn, but Firga, the Tranquil Ardent, has had trouble keeping them lit. What kind of records are stored here? Mostly dull official stuff. Census counts, tax records, militia registers. Now I keep my distance. I got curious one day and got drafted into reshelving half the records. Worst day of my life. Is there a hearing going on right now? Sure is. Duke Avar's been meeting with some of the city leaders for weeks now, trying to figure out how to address the legacy. The whole business is terribly secret though. I tried to sit in the gallery during my lunch break one day and got turned away. But a lot of the talk concerns animancy, so there's good reason they're keeping the meetings behind closed doors. The legacy? Mudwin's legacy. That's what a lot of people call the Rash of Hollowbarn. The theory goes that it's punishment for meddling in animancy. Why is animancy so controversial? We already know a lot of this, but sure. Where to begin? Traditionalist thinks it's a crime against the gods. There's no question that poking around in souls is risky, but the more progressive elements believe it's our only shot at restoring healthy births. And it doesn't help matters that animancy research often involves old Engwithan relics that were illegally looted from the ruins in Airglen Fath. What are Hollowborn? You really are fresh from the road. Hollowborn are children born without souls. They often don't live for very long, and those that do have generally received some kind of treatment from the animancers. What do you think about animancy? Me? I think the real danger of animancy is confusing a real scholar with an expensive fake. We get a new case here every day. Some poor couple in the Gift or Copper Lane who spent every copper they had on a miracle cure for their unborn child. Never works. Breaks your heart. There's usually nothing we can do for them. Tell me about the current Duke. That would be Avar Wolfgren. Don't let the title fool you though. Our Dukes have been elected since independence. Some find Duke Avar rather coarse. He's a frontier noble. Personally, I think a rough and tumble type is just what Defiance Bay needs. Thank you for all the information.
Hail and well met.
Well, Durance is going to have a hell of a time in here, I guess. The woman's head is bowed as her lips move in prayer. Just as you approach, you catch her glimpsing at the statue near her. She notices you and forces a smile. Praise be to Magran, and welcome to her temple. How may I be of service? You seem upset. What's wrong? This is about the fires, isn't it? They're just symbols. You can't put your faith in them. Only symbols? Is that why you're so distressed? No, I've kept them burning steadily for 15 years, but I haven't been able to conjure them for months now, and people need to see them more than ever these days. What does that mean? It's my devotions and prayers that keep them lit, but lately, when I try to pray, all I can think about are the hollowborn all over the city, the grieving families, the refugees. How could Magran allow us to suffer like this? What strength do we gain from a soulless child? What strength do we gain from adversity, from trial and test? The fires don't wither because she lacks in faith. They wither because she does not understand how to be faithful to a whore. A whore wants neither praise nor devotion. A whore wants to be compensated for her services, and Magran is paid and pleasured in sweat and struggle and pain. This mewling imbecile is unworthy of Magran's womanly heat. And this is shaking your faith? But I believe Magran may be speaking to me again. This will likely sound so far-fetched to someone like you. Lately, I've been seeing visions. A place in the wilderness with pools filled with sunbursts of colour. Strange falls that seem to rise to the heavens even while they splash into the earth. And behind the falls is a cave, filled with fire and heat and danger, and some token of my goddess. I know there's something there, but where it is or how I get there... I've been meaning to ask around at the expedition hall to see if anyone recognizes the description. To be honest though, I don't know what I'd do even if I found the place. Worthless. Like so many of Magran's flock, afraid of her god's tests. If Magran speaks to her, it is to hasten an end to a hypocrite's life, and this vision is surely a death trap for the weak. I'd like to know more about the temple, I suppose. Magran is the most revered goddess among us dear Widdens, so it's no surprise that her temple is part of the ducal palace. Her fires symbolize trials, revolutions, and the blazing of new paths, all of which are important to us. This is the first of the sacred pyres. When this is lit, so are the rest are in the city. What's the significance of the sacred pyres? They symbolize Magran's power and guidance, and right now the people of Defiance Bay need to be assured of her presence. Our neighbours in the Valen Republic see us as superstitious, but we're just sensitive to the signs and warnings of the gods.
I'll take a look.
Right, Cinders of Faith. Travel to the cave so we can check out the adventurer's place and see if they actually do have any information.
I'm on the trail.
Yeah, there's no way I'm going to be able to take these. Thank you for coming, Nidus. I've been trying to track you down for some time. This is Marshal Forwin, Earl Bademar's military advisor. He will serve as a witness for this proceeding. He gestures at the man next to him. Well met, Road Warden. Your reputation precedes you, I admit. You've created a fair bit of stir throughout the nobility with your reclamation of Cadnua. Most are still not sure what to think about. What to think of you. Alright, what's this about? The legitimacy of your claim to Cadnua is in question. Earl Bademar has issued a ruling in the matter. Cadnua was abandoned for over a century, and I've claimed the land through strength of arms. My claim is legitimate. If there were no other claimant, you would be correct. Unfortunately, this is not the case. All will be made clear once Lord Gaspin arrives. Do you have any other questions for me while we wait? Tell me about Earl Baidmar. Earl Baidmar comes from a steamed line of lords that rose to prominence after the War of Defiance, some 150 years ago. The Deerwood consists of 7 earldoms. The Baidmars govern the northern earldom, known as the Grasp. As to the current Baidmar, he's as fine a man as I know. It is an honour to serve him. Tell me more about the Grasp. The Grasp is now the largest of the 7 earldoms after it consumed the pre-war earldom of Yenwood. It encompasses notable settlements such as New Haemar, Garen's Grasp, Gilded Vale, and of course, Cadnua. Yenwood? When the Deerwood was a mere colony of Aedir, it was divided into 9 earldoms. When the Aedirans were defeated and ultimately driven out, 2 of the earldoms were absorbed and borders were adjusted. The Yenwood was one such earldom. What do you know of Gathbin? All have met him but once. It was ample time to determine the character of Lord Arlader Gathbin, or lack thereof. He's descended from an old Aediran line that predates the War of Defiance. His great-grandfather, Rannick Gathbin, was the Earl of Yenwood during the war. That is, until he was stripped of his lands and driven from the Deerwood. Do you know which way Earl Baidmar is ruled? I'm sorry, my lord, I do not. The Earl's decree is sealed. What was that about Road Warden? The one who rules Cadnua on behalf of the Earl of Yenwood is traditionally known as the Road Warden. Your position might not be entirely official yet, but the title is an appropriate form of address. Your timing is impeccable. Here comes Lord Gaspin now. We're gonna mug him. We actually look like we're preparing to just beat him and take his money. An opulently dressed man strides towards the Chancellor, his sandy hair trailing him like a banner caught in a light breeze, boot heels echoing throughout the hall. An elven woman with cropped hairs, dressed in dark, glinting male shadows, his steps before taking position alongside him. She watches you unabashedly, taking your measure. Let's move past this formality as quickly as possible. I have other matters to attend to. It's well known that Cadnua belongs to me by right. And where is this pretender? You murdered the Radricks, my own sister and her husband, and now steals my land. Where is this low-born wretch? Warren clears his throat and glances at you. This man here? This is the Lord of Cadnua? I thought he was just another servant, perhaps a valet or a porter. Everyone who owns their own keep raise a hand. Go on, don't be shy. Imbecile! I hope you've enjoyed your time squatting on my land. Provoke me further and I'll hang you from the highest wall of Cadnua when our business is finished. Chancellor, read the Earl's decree. Warren breaks the seal on the scroll and unfurls it. Regarding the matter of the Gathbin claim in Cadnua, Earl Baidmar finds that the Gathbin claim was never relinquished. By law, Cadnua is the rightful property of the Gathbin family. I knew it. Gathbin smirks at you triumphantly. I'm not yet finished reading, my lord. Gathbin rolls his eyes and motions for the Chancellor to continue. However, the Earl recognises Nidus' part in reclaiming Cadnua, a site that has stood abandoned, and even, some would say cursed, for over a century. Before Cadnua is returned to the Gathbin family, the Earl has decreed that Lord Gathbin will provide compensation in the form of... Absolutely not! My lord? The amount is quite reasonable and a requirement for your land to be returned to you, if you'll just allow me to finish. I'll not pay a single copper to this miscreant for my ancestral land. Do you think I'm blind to the Earl's motives, lackey? He thinks he can send a message with this insult. I have a message you can send that son of a whore. Gathbin raises an open hand as the Chancellor shrinks from him, arms raised in defense. Grab his arm. Keep your hands off me, you peasant! The elven woman deftly draws a pistol from her thick leather belt. Her eyes widen in anticipation. My lords, please, there's no need for violence. Lord Gathbin holds your gaze for several heartbeats, his eyes burning with hatred. I'll be coming for what's mine, counting it. Come, Captain Emery, we're leaving. He sneers defiantly before storming down the hall. The captain lowers her pistol and gives a smirking shrug before following her employer. Well, that went well. Well, I can't say that Gathbin's reaction was entirely unexpected. Through no fault of your own, I'm afraid you've made a powerful enemy. I've dealt with worse. I hope you're right. In any case, Cadnua now officially belongs to you, since Lord Gathbin has rejected the Earl's decree. He hands you a deep blue scepter, which looks to have been carved entirely out of sapphire. Here, this belonged to one of the old lords of Cadnua. By right, it's yours now. I'm not even going to begin to try and pronounce that. Please extend an invitation to Lord Gathbin to feast with me within the halls of Cadnua. There's no need for us to be enemies. That is a generous offer, and I'll make sure it reaches Lord Gathbin. It was a pleasure to finally meet you, my lord. Perhaps we'll speak again under more pleasant circumstances. Farewell, Nidus. Kill. Ring finger added. Wait, what? Oh my god, what's this? So rewards, 25% experience, Nidin's finger, 500 to 1000 copper in treasure. Nidin was a Glenfathan murderer who was notorious for both his brutality and his ability to avoid capture by the tribe's best hunters. When he was finally captured and put to death, his body was buried in a secret place near Cleaban Rilag. Ario had given the unusual recommendation in the hopes that the Ingwithan rune would capture the killer's soul and prevent it from returning to the wheel. During a recent cleansing celebration, an Orlan child stumbled across Nidin's grave. Not realizing what she had found, she told her parents, who guessed what it was and in turn told other members of their tribe. Within a day, Nidin's burial site had been plundered by a few foolhardy Glenfathans, the body carried away for ritual purposes. All that remained was a ring finger from his right hand. The Anamfatha opposed the use of Nidin's body for preparing sacred objects, and will reward anyone who can return it to them. Sure, let's send Berend over. He can deal with that.
Welcome.
A taciturn man with greying hair pores over a tome he's just withdrawn from one of the shelves. He glances up at you with baggy eyes. Yes, is there something I can pull for you? I'm looking for militia records from the time of the Saints' War, trying to find out what happened to someone. We've had a number of inquiries about such information. I'm afraid we've had to bar access to the public. Seems there are still quite a number of folk in Deerwood who bear ill will towards Red Serens. It would be irresponsible to surrender their names to just anyone. Many came to settle here as refugees. Perhaps if you were more established in Defiance Bay, things would be different, but I have no reason to suspect you to be any different from the others. I don't really want to just intimidate him into it. You've come a long way. I just need to find out about my brother. I don't even know what side he fought for. You must understand, I've heard many such stories. I'm afraid there's nothing I can do. Fine, we'll intimidate him. Oh. In the Duke's palace? I can assure you that you do not. Besides, without my assistance, you'd be sifting through scrolls for years. Okay, we're gonna have to come back once we've
Light,
made
flame,
our
and sound.
name known.
We'll keep to ourselves. They won't see me coming.
Alright, well for now, we have gained rightful ownership of Cadmia. So, what else is there to see in First Fires? We've got the Crucible Keep, down to Brackenbury, the Temple of Wodaka, Andra's Gift, the Valen Embassy. Let's check out the Crucible Keep. See if anyone's home.
Hail and well met.
Aldmar gives you an appraising eye. Judged by the scars on his face, he's lucky to be able to do that much. Every day we get more from the hinterlands pouring into Defiance Bay. Keeps us busy in the watch, it does. You look like you've recently arrived yourself. Who are you? A soldier of the Crucible Knights, and proud of it. I help keep everything running in the keep so that Commander Clever? Or Cleaver? Yeah, if Deerwood is pronounced Deerwood, then that would be Cleaver. Can focus on more important matters. What goes on in Crucible Keep? This is the headquarters of the Crucible Knights, so it's where we store arms and armor as well as where many of our soldiers bunk. Commander Cleaver's in the back making plans, as usual. You'll find the forge in the west end of the building, along with their master smith Dunstan. There's also a shrine to the golem, if you're the praying type. Tell me more, tell me more. We're the defenders of Defiance Bay. We're not exactly a formal knighthood, but don't tell Commander Cleaver I said that. We were the first organised militia to oppose Adiran rule, and today we're the largest force in the city. Our soldiers undergo years of combat training, and our officers are required to have their souls read by that critter out in Dunred Row. What's this about Dunred Row? Just a requirement of the Crucible Knights, so the higher-ups know there's nothing messy built into your soul's past. Keeping the ranks pure is fine by me, I just wish you were more careful in hiring their ciphers. What's wrong with their ciphers? They're mostly Orlans. I'm sure they're talented enough, but you just can't trust them. Hostility's in their nature, and they've learned to hide it over the years. All I'm saying is they should at least be supervised by other folk. That's reasonable enough, isn't it? That's pretty racist. If people treated them better, you wouldn't have to worry about them being so hostile. I'm just speaking the truth. Nowadays it seems that's the biggest crime of all. Wow. Yep, that sure is some racism.
I shall be discreet.
I'll take a look.
I'll give it a try, at least.
If this is about the breastplates, I already told Cleaver they won't be repaired till next week.
Oh, we can show him the piece of the Blade of Endless Pass. I found several I didn't find several, I found one. I found several fragments of an ancient sword. Do you think you could repair it? That's a fine blade indeed. Looks enduring. Special made. Must have been a commission for a champion of some sort. I can't speak properly today. A sword of this caliber would have had a specially designed hilt too. It'd be a shame to graft anything else onto it. And besides, it'll balance best with all the original pieces. You find the rest of it, and I'll forge it for you.
I'm
What'd
a
you do
forge
here?
master. I'm a master smith for the Crucible Knights. But the way I see it, I'm also keeping up with our old traditions. The first members of our order were smiths. Nowadays, most everyone's a professional soldier. I suppose it's to be expected, but I think it's important we keep up with our roots, too.
Tell me about the knights.
We were all smiths back in Hodrick's day, though I'm about the only one here who still gets his hands dirty. We're a fearsome fighting force, though these days I think Cleaver takes more pride in our parade formations.
Oh good, did get the pronunciation right. He thinks himself a progressive man, but he's obsessed with soul lineages and connections to the Deerwood's heroes of old. Other than Dunrod Row, who really knows about any of that though?
Gods keep you.
Oh, here's Penhelm. The young novitiate's armor is recently shined, and his hair is clean and neatly combed. It's hard to believe he's ever seen battle, or that the scarred antique breastplate he wears could possibly be his. You looking for something? Tell me about the Knights of the Crucible. We're the primary defenders of Defiance Bay. The Order's founders were the first to rally for Deerwood and independence. Of course, that's ancient history now. Now, we're the most prestigious company of soldiers in the Deerwood. It's a glorious line of work. If you can forget about the barracks, that is. How does someone become a knight? We don't take just anyone. Our members share soul legacies with the very men and women who defended this land a century and a half ago. Anyhow, Commander Cleaver is responsible for initiations, but he rarely accepts foreigners. Does the name Osric sound familiar? If you've got any self-respect, you won't associate with him, or with any of his new friends at the Expedition Hall for that matter. Scamps and delinquents, a lot of them. What's the story between you two? Osric's always held some controversial opinions, but they went overlooked for the longest time because his family has such an extensive history of service in the Crucible Knights. He finally went too far. He had the gall to suggest we had strayed too far from our roots, that some of our officers were beginning to resemble Aedir nobility. He would have us all wear rough spun and fight with forge hammers, and merely reported his statements. The knights obsessed over their past, they wouldn't have grown into the fighting force they are today. I quite agree. That's why Osric has no place here. Is that his breastplate you're wearing? It was. It became property of the Crucible Knights when he was discharged. Now, it's mine. And it's not for sale, if that's what you're wondering. Not every day you find armor that was used in the rebellion. He says your affidavit is a forgery. Just what would he know about that? It's perfectly convenient for him to cast aspersions, what with his pedigree in the Knights. It's a lie, of course. I should be perfectly obvious to someone as logical as you. Uh, where's the thing about the Elms Pass, Cliffs, Law? Ah, that's it. We need more leverage to find his affidavit.
Light, flame, and sound. We'll keep to ourselves. I can do that, as requested.
I'll take a look.
I'll give it a try, at least. As requested. I'll give it a try, at least. I can do that. As requested.
Just gonna steal everything.
I shall be quiet as a calm sea, which is not
Edict
very
of Arrest. This edict calls for the arrest of Eorn, whose recent actions have led to the death of a Knight of the Crucible. It requests reporting any information on Justicar Almar. It is signed Commander Cleaver.
I'll give it a try, at least.
Oh, here's his affidavit. Curran, a cipher duly appointed and employed by Donald Rowe, does hereby certify that Novitiate A.M. Penhelm has been found to have a soul free of any subversive influences or tainted essence. The scroll is stamped with the seal of Dunred Rowe and signed by both Penhelm and Curran. It's back at the front door again. Ooh, training grounds. The Justiciar's gaze flicks over you briefly, before returning to the novitiates gathered in the training area. If this is about patrols, my novitiates are already stretched to the limit. Between the refugee influx and the mess at Heritage Hill, I simply don't have any units to spare. I'm sorry, was there something else you need? Something wrong at Heritage Hill? What isn't wrong is a real question. A whole district of walking, flesh-eating corpses. We sealed the area 2 months ago, just after I lost one of my finest commanders there, and yet this is the second guard rotation to disappear. There are already enough rumours about the place floating around the keep without my soldiers whispering about these disappearances. I'd just as soon abandon the district, but if those monsters should find a way out... Tell me more about it. Used to be one of the most prestigious districts in Defiance Bay, but a few months ago the residents all went mad, started eating each other, and anything else that had the bad luck to wander into the district. I've never seen anything like it. Now every novitiate that stands guard there, every one that comes back anyway, talks of the stench of the grave and the groans of unspeakable horrors. The why and the how are questions for the animancers. I've sealed the district in hopes of containing whatever happened there. It seems to be working, for now. I could look into it. After what I've just told you, you want to go to Heritage Hill? I've lost trained soldiers there. Why should I let anyone in? You've got nothing to lose. If you're so eager to rush to your death, I won't stop you. And if you're somehow able to put a stop to this. You've got my permission to enter Heritage Hill. I'll send word to the guards at the gate. What do you do here? I'm in charge of the keep's novitiates. I'm responsible for their training and patrol assignments. They're good soldiers, and they've been quick to adapt to new challenges. Let's back out to the main hall again. This is a symbol of Abaddon, a colossal smithing hammer imposed over a circular gear. It's smooth and bright with buffing oils.
Margaren's fire casts light in dark places.
No hidden things to find? Nope, guess not.
We just don't have the manpower.
Hello, Commander Cleaver.
Refugees from every corner of the Deerwood. The dozens getting them all riled up about animancy. At this rate, we'll need twice the soldiers to patrol Defiance Bay. Yes? Can I help you with something?
Why don't you have enough soldiers?
Fleetbreaker Castle. The High Justice has summoned almost half of my novitiates, and more of my justiciars to a keep on the other side of New Hailmar. It's not for me to question the High Justice's orders, but it's left us short-handed. And mark me, we're just a couple sparks away from anarchy.
Is there any way I can help? I know how to handle myself. It was refreshing to see someone who'd rather fix a problem than complain about it. Forge Master Dunstan is working with an animancy scholar to build what we're calling Forge Knights. Warriors that can patrol our streets without suffering fatigue, disobedience, or fear. Some agitator throws a rock at them. We don't have to worry about things getting out of hand. We constructed the armor, but we need the scholar's research. Unfortunately, she hasn't been around the last few times my novitiates have checked. Vienna lives with the rest of the Scriveners out in Copperlane, but I haven't the soldiers to spare at the moment. Go to the Scrivener's dormitory and see if you can find her. When you get the research, just bring it to Dunstan. This is his area of expertise anyway. Once you brought him the research, he can sell you any arms or armor if you have need. He forges and repairs all our equipment. You won't find a more capable smith in Defiance Bay. You're in charge of the Crucible Knights? Here in Defiance Bay anyhow. The High Justice is the leader of our order, but he's currently stationed at Fleetbreaker Castle. My job is to oversee our forces in Defiance Bay, and to keep order for the Duke. Tell me more about the Knights of the Crucible. We're the only professional army in Defiance Bay, or in the Deerwood for that matter. We defended the city in Hadrit's day. We've improved our training since then, but Dunred Roll can certify that many of our officers came from good Deerwood and fighting stock. Now we're responsible for patrolling the city and keeping the peace. With so many refugees pouring in from the countryside, that's become more important than ever. Unfortunately, that's earned us enemies, particularly among the dozens in some of the more enterprising families in Defiance Bay. What do the dozens have against you? They're demagogues and troublemakers. They forget that Defiance Bay is one of the largest cities in the world, and not some frontier outpost. Most of them are mercenaries on a good day, and street thugs the rest of the time. Needless to say, they've got no patience for law and order. Tell me more about these enterprising families. House Dominal, namely. They're one of the city's oldest noble families and its largest criminal organization. Their patriarch, Gedmar, has been trying to take advantage of the turmoil to expand his operations. We've kept on top of him and he hasn't been too happy about that. Alright, got some backtracking to do back to Copper Lane. Nope, don't talk to you. Wanna. This map shows environs surrounding Defiance Bay. Flags mark strategic access points to the city. This document estimates the flow of refugees over the past 3 months. The figures grow by the week. Another edict of arrest.
I'm not going anywhere like this.
I can do that.
Nice and quiet.
I'll give it a try, at least.
Fine, Warbow. Is that gonna be better than yours? No, you already have a fine Warbow, right? Yeah. I can talk to you though.
Strange place for a shrine to Abidan, Crucible Keep. Maybe it made more sense at some point before it gathered all that dust. And the only thing the Knights of the Crucible worship these days is the nobility, as far as I understand it.
I knew some soldiers who got recruited by the Knights after the war was over. They told me some about it. They get these young kids in there, and they tell them about blacksmithing, and about the revolution, and about tradition. Talk about the Golem like he created the Crucible Knights in his forge to go win Deerwood's independence. Then they join, and it turns out all any of those knights ever talk about is when are we going to get recognized as a real knighthood? When are we getting our titles and our land? Their High Justice wants to be an Earl. Says it's Abaddon's will. He's got a castle and an army. You wonder how long he'll wait before he starts a war over it, saying Abaddon told him so. Seems like some members do still take their ideals seriously. You see it with the older knights. Some of them. They were taught differently. I feel for them, seeing all that slowly wearing away around them, with nothing to be done because the wrong people are in charge. Shame they don't have better people leading them. Well, we can always try and take over. I took the long way around. Well, it works. let's backtrack a moment to Copper Lane and see about the scholars' research. Yeah, I figured Defiance Bait have a lot of side quests and such, and they're really starting to pile up, considering we've only explored one district fully and half of a second one.
You've been on your own for 5 years,
I've had Itamok.
but you can't talk to him.
My standards changed around year 2.
Oh, stop. There we go. Into the dormitory. Find Vienna.
Good day to you.
Looking for Vienna. I like Vienna. She's always talking about Metal Man, which is strange since I'm pretty sure she doesn't eat Snowcap. I don't talk about Metal Man either, and I do eat Snowcap. Aw. Anyway, she's not here right now. Flew away to Andra's gift to meet her friend Bessia. No, Clesia. Yes, Clesia. Clesia is the friend she's gone to meet. In Andra's gift. In a house, not a boat. North's house. North house. Empty house. Andra's gift has a lot of boats. We should go rowing sometime. Alright, that'll be something else we can do once we reach Andra's gift. Also, while we're in Copper Lane, I could go stop by the tavern and sell off everything we've picked up so far.
I wonder, Alof, don't you ever feel curious about Isilmir's history?
Not even a little.
But think of the opportunities. You could learn so much about the past.
There are some things I'm happy not knowing.
We don't actually have to go for the tavern. I forgot there was a bunch of merchants right outside. Now, is there anything I want to keep? Fine mail, DR11 for 45 recovery. Sure. You can take that, I suppose. Yeah, sure, take the wingtail. Oh. Oh, a soulbind item, finally. Binds with wizards, priests, and druids. Fast 10 meters, 12 to 19 crush and slash. Plus 15 accuracy, 15% damage, and 20% raw damage. Bind this item to unlock the next level. Bluestone Center. I mean, I think I might bind that to myself because it works with druids. How does it compare to my pike? Less damage, but much faster. Being ranged, it works at range. Yeah, sure. Put that on. And then if I swap to the other weapon set, would I rather the quarterstaff or the pike as a backup? Okay, pierce, crush. That is crush and slash. Okay, so I'll keep pierce as the backup weapon. And then let's bind it. Okay, so for the next level, deal 200 raw damage to enemies. And it comes with some extra damage as raw. Anyway, so that works just fine.
Good day to you.
And let's clear out a lot of stuff. We'll hold on to the Wodika hood. Just in case that becomes relevant with more dealings with them later. 27,366 gold. Or, sorry, copper, not gold. Spread these around a little more. Okay. I do actually want to quickly stop in the tavern though, because... yeah, we only have 2... adventurers that we can send off to deal with tasks. No, you know what, if we get another task, I can always hire someone at that point. It's not super important to do it beforehand. For now, we can go back to first fires and explore the rest of the district. It's nice to finally get our first soulbound item. To level up with us and hopefully not be made obsolete. At least anytime soon. Oh, the formation's wrong. I forgot accidentally. There we go. So where have we not been? We've been to Crucible Keep, been to the Palace. We've seen the Temple of Vodka, there's a way down to Brackenbury. The Villain Embassy. We should also go to the different exits out of the city as well, so that we can access them when we need to. No one with anything to say, I guess. Right, so now we're able to go to Heritage Hill, which we are allowed to go into now. We got permission.
All these circling feet heading nowhere.
And then we also have the way to Andra's gift, so now we can, when we need to get to anywhere in the city. let's see what's going on at the embassy. Anything around the side? Nope. Alright, in we go.
Welcome.
Hello. What can this humble servant of the Republicans do for you? Well, you can tell me about the Valen Republics. They are rich in all ways, in wealth, in style, and culture. If you were to go to the Republics, you would not want to leave. Why would you? The people are beautiful and charming. I am here because the songwriter Jacala wishes it, but when my appointment is done, I will be in the first ship out, and I will sing from here to Salona. What do you do here? As a Valian ambassador, my job is to ensure trade with the Deerwood remains strong and profitable. Well, that was a brief conversation.
I'll take a look.
There's no way in hell we'll be able to steal those.
Light.
I can do that.
Yeah, we've got 20.
As
Take
requested.
one. Obsidian lamp figurine. To summon 3 shades. Interesting. Once per rest. Yeah, I'll do that. So once per rest, we can summon 3 shades. And then once per rest, we can summon 3 wood beetles as well.
Laying low.
I'll give it a try, at least.
Alright, so not a lot going on in the embassy right now, but we got another totem for summoning. That was productive for a very short detour. Okay. So we can go to Brackenbury, Heritage Hill, or Undra's Gift. Our stuff we have to do. Task for Heritage Hill. Records Archive. We need to make a name for ourselves, so we're allowed access to that. Yeah, the plot was to rob a Brackenbury nobleman, so I assume we're going to be able to tell somebody about that there. Curran is in Dunred Row. I don't remember what district that's in. Brackenbury Sanitarium. An expert in awakenings, which I assume will be Dunred Row as well. Search for Vienna and Andra's gift. Heritage Hill for the... Oh, and also Brackenbury Sanitarium, or the, like, main stuff. Well, let's go see Brackenbury. Check out the sanatorium.
How's the hand?
Turning purple. I'd have to cut it off.
I warned you not to pet him.
If I'm not supposed to pet him, why is he so soft?
I mean, you've got a point, Ader.
Hail and well met.
Nedden. I know the name. I've heard the name from someone. Forget where. A woman stands in the shade of the garden, muttering to herself. She's fixated on the pages of a large and well-worn tome, seemingly oblivious to the blooming flowers and the cool, fragrant breeze. She only looks up when your shadow crosses her page. Do you mind? I'm rather busy. What are you so busy with? I'm studying soul attachment. We all know that souls move into people at birth and out of them at death, but we still have a lot of questions about what makes them stick, so to speak. What do you mean about making them stick? The souls power bodies and give their tissues life, but only when they're firmly attached. It's separation that leads to a whole spate of soul-related ailments, including the Hollowborn. But if we understood how to reattach souls, we could end Wydwin's legacy. Perhaps, or maybe, even conquer death. That's a theory anyway. Unfortunately, I don't have all the research I need to put it into practice. What exactly do you need? There's a manuscript called the Theorems of Pangram. It contains research from Pangram's experiments on detached souls. The Hall of Revealed Mysteries is rumoured to have a copy in the Elder Archives. Pangram's work is considered to be one of the more, daring animancy texts. Not something generally circulated among novices, nor easy to get a hold of. I wonder if we might have a peek at it. The theorems could advance my research by leaps and bounds, but Grimda, the High Archivist, worships Will, which means she has some paradoxical views on sharing and restricting knowledge. And since she's not exactly a proponent of animancy, she tends to restrict the kinds of information that would be useful to me. I'm sorry to hear that. Look at me spilling my troubles. It's kind of you to listen, but I really should get back to my work. Tell me about yourself. I'm an animancer at the sanitarium. Currently, I'm researching matters related to Wadwin's legacy. What's Wadwin's legacy? Wadwin's legacy refers to the rise in Hollowborn children in the Deerwood in recent years. Some have also connected it to so-called bioacs that blow through Airglan Fath. There's hardly any reliable data on those though, so I can't really comment. I don't much care for the term Wadwin's legacy. It reeks of superstition, but it's too prevalent to change at this point. Personally, I'd like to see people take a more methodical approach to these matters rather than throwing up their hands and blaming the gods. Good to hear someone speaking sense on the matter. Tell me about the theorems of Pangram. Pangram was an animancer working in the Deerwood. He had some interesting theories about essence, and some rather innovative techniques for studying it. He was able to reattach souls to bodies after death, although he wasn't able to prevent his patients from degenerating. He was controversial, to say the least, but many are starting to realize he was merely ahead of his time. What do you mean by degenerating? Well, there seems to be a tiny problem with reattaching souls after death. The bodies will reanimate, and may even retain memories and personality, but they develop a hunger for flesh, living, soul-infused flesh. Without it, they start to devolve, decaying mentally and physically. If the process goes too far, which it eventually does, they become mindless corpses attacking anything that moves. We haven't figured out a way to avoid that. It is more than an inconvenient side effect. You've reproduced an unnatural curse with little to show for it. It sounds like necromancy. Nonsense. Necromancy is magic. This is science. Why doesn't Grimda lend you the books you need? The Hall of Revealed Mysteries is rather protective of its books, especially the rarer ones, and Grimda in particular. She hates animancy, thinks it's dangerous. I don't see how you can run the greatest library in the Deerwood and be so adverse to the spread of knowledge and research, but I've never understood these religious types. Some knowledge is best kept under lock and key. I'd like to know about the Hall of Revealed Mysteries. You'll find it in the Copperlane district. It's dedicated to the goddess secrets and revelations. Most importantly, it houses the largest and most expansive library in the Deerwood. Well, that settles it. We simply must go see it, right? We already did. What are the Elder Archives? The Elder Archives hold the rarest, most arcane, and most powerful text in the Deerwood. Think of it as the inner sanctum of the Hall of Revealed Mysteries. Needless to say, you need Grimda's permission to enter. So the sanitarium's right here, Hadrit House, House Dominel, Raymond Manor, the Charred Barrel, over that way to Copperlane. Well, let's check out the sanitarium, I suppose. See what's happening in here. Also, haven't looked at our reputation in a while. It's been coming up quite a few times in conversation since getting to Defiance Bay. Benevolent 3, Clever 2, Diplomatic 1, Rational 2, and Honest 2. We are neutral in Defiance Bay, a champion in Gilded Vale, and neutral with Knights of the Crucible. Wait, what was that? Oh, that's individual records. Okay, fair enough. Oh, hello. A well-maintained statue of a middle-aged man presides over the room, looking down, unblinking over the bustle of harried academics pestered by the hopeful desperate. A strong warmth emanates from it, so that you could sense from across the room there is a human soul stored beneath the stonework. you feel its attention turn towards you. It's been some time since a watcher graced these halls. I am envious of your natural insights, traveler. I can only imagine how it might have helped my work in life. Now, what is it that has brought you to my sanitarium? Quite a few things. You may have a member of the Leaden Key in your midst. I could have done without hearing that today. Many have their intrusions been into our affairs. Of course, one can seldom be certain whether they've meddled, or whether calamity is struck on its own, but a few of their less skilled infiltrators have been exposed from time to time. They are a perpetual nuisance. Once again, I am reminded of how envious I am of your gifts. I suspect there would be some use in verifying one's identity. You are at odds with the Leaden Key as well, I take it. They're up to something, and I'm trying to determine what. They're always up to something. Of that you may rest assured. If their plots have come to involve you, you have my sympathies. Do you have some idea of who this person might be? I won't know until I've met them. Very well. In that case, I would recommend you speak first with our resident animancers. They have frequent interactions with both patients and colleagues. You'll find them up here, or in their offices downstairs. You will report anything suspicious to me immediately. This is my only request. I'm also looking for an animancer named Modred. Modred, of course. You'll find him downstairs in the first room on the right. I'm curious as to how you've come to be in your present state. In the statue, you mean? Well, I was old, and it seemed wrong to me. A lifetime spent in pursuit of discovery, only to lose it all in death. Somewhere, someday, I would wake up in a new body none the wiser, and pursue a different course entirely, all that experience wasted. If we are ever to unearth the principles behind our existence, it will be in spite of our condition. Of that I am quite sure. To live on, as part of something I helped build, seemed to me a better legacy than what nature had in store. The transfer itself was quite simple as our techniques go, and for that I am grateful. Playing with souls is far easier to accept when they're not your own. I do miss being able to take an active role in the scholarly efforts here. Now and again one of our animancers will humour me and consult over some problem, but they're a jealous breed and are too often afraid to collaborate. If you're considering it yourself, I can tell you that it isn't for the easily bored. Tell me about the sanitarium. A history lesson. This is a rare pleasure. Most come in here only concerned with cheating death in one way or another. We are an old institution as Deerwood goes. This is our 94th year. As with many cities, the growth of Defiance Bay brought with it a host of problems. One of the worst was that those born with, shall we say, ill-favoured souls came to populate streets in droves, thus the sanitarium. Brackenbury was a natural fit. It was growing, but there was also a lot of money here back then. This place owes its survival to the curiosities of the wealthy more than anything, I think. Our founding came at a time of great suspicion in animancy, much like today. So much progress has been lost to the mishaps of a few careless practitioners. But in time it was forgotten, as all things are. Since then we've been at the forefront of animancy's resurgence. We've played host to many gifted researchers, and pushed the boundaries of our knowledge in ways never thought possible. Some of the first safe transferences were done here, and we have pioneered work in soul purification, lineage analysis, preservation. It's really quite a list, if you'll pardon my pride. Today it's, well, I can't say it's exactly the same. There's been some push to shut us down. It comes from Deerwood's more excitable denizens, whose minds are more passionate than thoughtful, I'm afraid. People see this, the legacy, and they see it involves something they don't understand, so it's natural for them to suspect people whose understanding exceeds theirs. It looks to them like we're hiding something. We have a representative in the palace this very moment. defending the entire science of animancy at a hearing before the Duke. Absurd as it sounds. If it does not go well, it could be the end of animancy in Deerwood. I fear Avar may be swayed by all this unrest, irrational though it may be. We shall see. Does anyone here know anything about awakenings? There's an animancer on the lower floor who came all the way from Revua to study them. Take the stairs down and look for Belisage. Hear me, Oswin. Why is his icon... Oh, because he's currently busy, that's why. Lots and lots of books. Right, downstairs. We can start the interrogations. Oh, Mordred. An animancer scribbles feverishly in a parchment scroll, while his free hand dances through the air, counting off unseen objects. His lips move in silent discourse. As your shadow falls over his scroll, he looks up at you with mingled perplexity and irritation.
Hail and well met.
Can I help you? Does the name Helig mean anything to you? Helig? Is a colleague of mine. He was primarily a necromancer, but he was involved in animancy too. He worked at the sanitarium for several years. I dare say everyone here has heard of him. He left his post recently. I believe he was seeking new opportunities in the Valen Republics. The advances they're making in animancy really are quite remarkable. Surely you've heard. Perhaps you haven't. Do you know a woman named Rowena? No, I don't get out of the sanitarium much. Alright, let's ask you about other stuff first, before we go down that route. What are you working on? My area of focus is wicts. More specifically, how to cure them. What's a wict? A hollowborn who received a transplanted animal soul during infancy. One of animancy's early efforts to cure the legacy, if not a successful one. They show signs of developmental abnormalities throughout their childhood, but when they reach adolescence, they become aggressive, feral, but still victims in need of care. Transplanting animal souls into children seems like an odd solution. We, animancers, were trying to do something about the crisis. Better than letting it swallow a generation of children. And despite the controversy, it only went so far because, at first, it seemed to work. People called it the salvation. Children that have never been responsive to any kind of stimuli suddenly seemed aware of their surroundings, of their families. The complications don't begin until puberty, but that's when the incompatibilities between body and soul take shape. Children become violent, ravenous. But we paid dearly for our mistake, I promise you. Angry mobs hunted down animancers and burned down their homes, with them still inside, often as not. People took to calling it the cruel salvation, and many still loathe us for it. But we wanted to stop the legacy as much as anyone. The public begged for our help, and we did the best we could. I still don't know if that absolves us. Why do you study wits? What kind of question is that? Just think of all the families that could be healed, the lives that could be restored. What could be more important? Animancy has an answer here, I know it. It's simply a matter of working it out. Has anything unusual been happening around here? You must be joking. This is a sanitarium. Nothing is usual down here. Although now that I think of it, the patients seem more agitated lately. But they're Cade Manazzo's responsibility, not mine. Just looking around.
Hail, traveler.
I'm looking for an expert in awakenings. I hear that Valian woman studies them. You should go talk to her instead. So about Helig. I've heard it differently. Just what are you insinuating? If this is your idea of a joke, I assure you it's in very poor taste. So you didn't sink a blade into his chest and dump him in the catacombs? He'll be relieved to hear it. How could... Very well. Yes, I killed him. I killed that beast because nobody else had the spine for it. He was a madman. Years of perverse experiments, twisting healthy souls, torturing damaged souls, and for what? He flayed the essence from Glanfathan and indigents for his amusement. If the public had known half of his deeds, they'd have razed this place to the ground. He used the sanitarium to disguise his own sick proclivities. He brought shame on all of us and put the entire discipline at risk. I regret nothing. Anyway, now you know the whole grisly story. Alex said you stole a grimoire from him. His grimoire? What's that madman been telling you? He said you kept it in that trunk over there. Odra takes the key with a trembling hand, his eyes darting to the trunk behind you. You've been misled. There's no grimoire here. Helig never intended you to find one. That wretched thing has an insatiable hunger for blood. Thank you for denying him. I hope I can convince you now to return and slay him once and for all. He has something I need. I don't know what he's promised you, but he's already lied to you about the grimoire. I don't have it. If what I've told you about that evil, deceitful man hasn't swayed you, I don't know what else to say. Trust him at your own peril.
Greetings.
Hardly brave, stabbing a man in his sleep. Brave enough for my tastes. I heard a rumor he once laid a 50-man squad to rest in his own. At least I did something. So you killed him to save your own reputation. The reputation of the whole discipline, rather. You realize there are groups in this city looking for an excuse to have us all hanged? I won't see the knowledge we've worked so hard for lost because of one man's madness. Well, his soul returned to his corpse through sinister magic and he wants revenge. No doubt, but now you understand why I killed him. Why someone had to. If he sent you, I can only hope to convince you to return and slay him once and for all. We'll consider it. A corner of Modred's lap rests a large, weathered trunk. It seems likely to contain something important, if only by virtue of its size. Nothing grabs your attention except for the large padlock in the front. Whatever the Sanamancer keeps in here, he does not want anyone else to have or see. Shit. I shouldn't have given them the key. Tell you what.
Kill them!
Okay. Let's go back. Let's try opening that, because he was very shifty. I don't think I trust him to be telling the truth. Come on, load a little faster. I just want to see the inside of this trunk. Right, unlock it. You take the key you acquired from Helig and place it in the lock. It fits perfectly and turns with a solid clunk. The trunk holds no grimoires or treasures. Instead, oh my god, you find yourself staring into the feral gaze and toothy maw of a twisted, monstrous creature. Its humanized form has been overwhelmed by bony angles and terrible claws. With the start, you recognize a vague shape of a young girl beneath the elongated, malformed bones and greyish skin. It growls and leaps out of the trunk. Not towards you, but toward Modred. Modred has no time to scream before his throat is clear. Okay. That is not at all what I expected. Not even close. So let's talk to him, but instead of handing over the key, or just opening the trunk immediately, let's try and, like, bully him into revealing that there is a zombie locked away in there. And why the fuck there's a zombie locked away in there. That was just very, very strange. Alright, middle ground option.
Keeping an eye out. Hail, traveler.
So let's jump through everything else.
Greetings.
Tell me the story.
Gods keep you.
Alright. I'm not in the mood for games, Modred. Hand it over. I'm not a wizard. I want nothing to do with his detestable research. What use would I have for it? I know Helig. Can I
Hail,
not?
traveler.
Alright, fuck it.
I shall be discreet.
Since he was lying to me. Pelosi,
Good
I
day
also
to
wanted
you.
you. A woman paces back and forth, her feet crunching on the soft red carpet. She gestures and mumbles to herself, shaking her head as she pores over pages of notes. She almost walks into you. Ekosi! Here I am, looking so hard for answers in my research that I do not see the kith standing in front of me. What can I do? Has he noticed anything unusual? It's rare for me to notice things that do not relate to my work, even when they are in front of me. Sienteri amico. But I am not the best choice to help you with that. What do you do here? According to my research grant, I study awakenings. Sublimating pre-awakened souls has been one of Animancy's greatest successes, and I'm working on a method to replicate the process in awakened souls. But the truth is, I find very few suitable subjects here. Wydwin's legacy has left plenty of awakened souls, but most are too broken for study. I fear I'll return to Revrio with nothing to show for my efforts. I'd like to know more about Animancy in the Valen Republics. It's a dynamic and respected field. Even the Bale Reach incident did little to slow it. People in the Republics are more accepting of risk, less superstitious, ready to try anything that shows promise. I'm looking for an expert in awakenings. Oh wait, no. Animancy also has the potential to do great harm. I'm not sure whether the benefits outweigh the dangers. This is true of any great technology. You cut a man open to remove sick flesh and there's a chance you kill him. Build a boat to explore a new land and perhaps it sinks with you on board. But surely these things make us better off, even though they sometimes fail. I'm looking for an expert in awakenings. That would be me. Though the lack of research subjects has made me more of an expert in counting floorboards. I would like to transfer Animancy's success in buttressing pre-awakened souls to soothing those whose souls have already awakened. But I need subjects, and most of the patients here are too broken to produce reliable results. It is a tragedy to have come so far for nothing. You're in luck, I have a volunteer. Gillard, who is it? I don't know about this. Don't be silly. The process is perfectly harmless. All you must do is stand in that cage. I beg your pardon? I jest. You Adirans are so uptight. I do not even know what the thing is used for. It belonged to the last occupant of this office, I think. Now they upgrade him to a cell. Again I jest. So, I need you to sit here. She takes Aloth by the shoulders and steers him to the couch. And try to relax. But don't try too hard, then you'll not be relaxing. Indeed. And you must also wear these. A little cold, but the copper will help conduct your essence. The Animancer fastens thick copper bands to Aloth's forehead and wrists. As she ratchets them tighter, his face twitches with suppressed irritation. Now, I will examine your soul through my scope. She reaches into her desk and produces a long, chambered tube. Knobs, dials, and small-toothed wheels run along the side of the device. It is fitted with Adra lenses, cut to different thicknesses and concavities. By manipulating them, I find the angles and densities that will allow me to track the anomalies in your soul. How exciting! I've never seen this sort of thing performed. It seems suitably complicated. Does this mean we'll get to talk to Isilmir more? I like that lady. But first, we must find this cunning interloper. He will answer some personal questions while I make adjustments. Don't worry, I'm sure we won't hear any of it. Very well. She holds the scope to her eye and flicks a knob. To begin, tell me something personal. Something from a time before your awakening. There's nothing to tell. I was just a normal child living in the Sithwood. He looks to you. His face is set in a frown, but the rigid edges of apprehension show through nevertheless. Talk about your parents. As you speak to Aloth, you feel your voice like a bell in your chest. It tolls softly, luring him into the mists of his own memory. Belisage doesn't seem to notice anything, but you feel as if your words are smoothing his essence, untangling its many threads. He closes his eyes. Mother's away most of the time, with the Thane's family, but I always know when she's coming home. Father's battles accumulate like storm clouds on the horizon. His fits of temper become swifter and more violent. It still shames him, knowing that her Hamnig, to another man supports is better than his labours as a steward. This is good. I'm starting to see something. Continue. Tell us about the time you awakened. I'm in my 5th year of training. Mother is home. I can let my guard down a little because when she's around, he's usually only angry with her. But he's heard that I've had trouble casting missiles, that my flame shields are unstable. He's furious I have failed, and Mother's presence reminds him that he has failed too. The first blow takes me by surprise. One moment I'm sweeping the kitchen, the next I'm sprawled on the ground, stupidly looking at flecks of my blood on the tile. His boots, glistening with fresh polish, thud across the floor. He kicks me in the stomach, and I curl up to shield my vitals. But it's pointless. Protecting one thing only leaves something else exposed. Still huddled on the ground, I retreat as fast as I can. I retreat until the vision of the kitchen and my own trembling knees is nothing but a pinprick against a field of black. His jaw locks and his eyes twitch beneath their lids. Mariko. He's hypnotized himself with his own memory. You've got to bring him out of it quickly, I almost have it. This is just a memory. It isn't real. Aloth's eyes snap open, but the expression you see in them isn't his. What about those rattles you see in the space twixt your ears? They really enough for you? That's it. I'm seeing a shift in his essence. Something spreading and congealing. Keep talking, he seems to respond to you. What brought you here? Cracking bones and voices high in ire. That warm molasses feeling that creeps down your gut when the crisis is nigh. Well, Fettle, we have flares of a totally distinct essence. Now, try to get the two of them talking. Isilmir, tell Aloth why you've awakened. Why, he's the one that needed me, hiding in his own bone bag like a turtle in his shell. I never turned it over to you. Good, yes, very good. I can now see two separate patterns of essence. Where he ebbs, the other flows. It's as if the awakened soul fills the spaces that he leaves empty. Go on. Aloth, what's this about ceding space to Isilmir? I've given her nothing. She usurps me in my own body. Aye, and I lend him a pair too. You should ask what I did with that old man of his. How the last time he laid a hand on us, I break it in 3 places. It wasn't your decision. It's never been your decision. I was awakening, but now I'm stuck with you, and be damned if I let you ninny and drag us both through the scupper. Ah, very good. I think I've finally got something we can work with. I've tracked Isilmir's essence through the exchange. She had a particularly high density index during the most heated portions of their argument, and her essence seemed to localize most clearly in the lower portion of the subject's left ribcage. That's right around the spleen, which of course means that she's triggered by black bile. No doubt the subject's characteristic melancholy is to blame. Aloth blinks back at you, and in the midst of his perturbation, you're not quite sure who's looking out of his eyes. That's utter horseshit. It does seem as though she got one thing right. Yes, never mind my years of training. I suppose you have a better explanation. If you're right, then removing Aloth's spleen should cure. No. You're close. I think Isilmir's appearances are related to potential sources of trouble for Aloth. Belisage carefully scratches her jaw, her gaze darting between you and Aloth. I suppose that could be true. I'll have to check this against other research. Well and good for you, but what does this mean for me? Belisage frowns at her notes, tapping her cheek with a quill, making a grand show of concentration. However, you catch her stealing a glance at you over the pages. Seems that Isilmir steps in when she determines that you're in danger. It's not clear yet whether this is a help or a hindrance. From my position, I'd say it's pretty clearly a hindrance. I've got a lot to process. Regardless, thank you for your help, Nidus. Well, I hope this has been as useful to you as it has been to me. I finally have material worth publishing. You'll be the toast of Revera. Fentrialoth. Aye, advance in the right-wise principles of animancy. Just what you've always wanted. As you turn to leave, you catch a darting movement out of the corner of your eye. Belisage is humming to herself, still occupied with her scope, but Aloth is holding her notes. He's just about to tuck them into his cloak when he catches you watching. He holds a finger to his lips, his eyes wide and imploring. Please, I don't want my personal information published like this, especially not after her nonsense. Leave me out of this. Not to worry, we'll see to this on our own. Can we talk to him about all this? About your parents. Yes. Why was your mother gone so often? She was invited to join a hamnock with a landed Thane when I was very young. His estate was a 5-day ride from our home in the Sithwood, so that was part of it. The real issue, however, was my father. Despite his initial agreement with the arrangement, father was never happy with it. He would hound and harangue my mother when she was home. He wanted to know whether she was intimate with the Thane, and no matter how many times she swore she wasn't, it was never enough. As you can imagine, that led to her coming home much less often, even though she still supported us financially. Sure, she was trying to take care of you in her own way. Believe so. She had an important role managing the Lord Thane's lands and administrative duties. And even though she was away, she provided well for us. Sounds like your father had a problem with his temper. He had a problem with my mother's hymnic, even though they agreed upon it long ago that the financial benefits would be considerable, and that it was a little different from his role as the Earl's steward. It ate at him, and so he drank and raged. When she was home, he raged at her. When she wasn't, he raged at me. More than anything, he wanted me to become an arcane knight in the service of his Earl. I think he felt this would validate his chosen career and master. He was a firm man, as you saw, but in the end I became a successful wizard, due in no small part to his strictness. Nonsense, you accomplished that on your own, and you would have been fine without him pushing you. Are you so certain? I didn't know what you wanted from my life then. I surely wouldn't have been so focused without a little direction. What's a hymnic? A ceremonial marriage between folk and elf. Because the Adir mainland has historically been split between the two races, we have many institutions that are designed to normalize relations. Our monarchy is headed by folk, but an elven consort rules alongside the reigning Farconing, or Maquin. This is the most prominent example of hymnic. In many cases, a hymnic allows two households to pool resources. Among the aristocracy, hymnics consolidate power. Sometimes, as in my mother's case, a hymnic is a means for a noble to add another administrator to his or her household. Consorts are received with almost the same level of respect as their noble counterparts, which can be extremely useful. Of course, hymnics are sometimes used to sanitize an extramarital affair. I don't know that it's really any better, but it seems to satisfy common notions of decency. And elf and folk unions are sterile, which no doubt eases some concerns. So, now you understand a little more about Isilmir. No thanks to that animancer. My spleen? Black bile? Come on. Melisage's methods were flawed, but you still learned something, didn't you? Only 'cause you and I have a lick of good sense between us. The average person, show them a shiny gadget in the hands of an expert and they'll believe anything. I don't know, I think you'd be more pleasant without your spleen. Oh, hilarious. We should have her take a look at you, I wonder what she'd like to remove then. Why did you want to take Melisage's notes? Like I said, I didn't appreciate her prying. Oh, that's fair. Taxes collected, all earnings were lost to bandits. Yeah, we need to get these walls up and increase security. What the fuck? I couldn't read that. Oh, it's the end of the ring finger thing. Eden was a Glenfathan murderer who was notorious for both his brutality and his ability to avoid capture by the tribe's best hunters. When he was finally captured and put to death, his body was buried in a secret place near Cleabin Rilag. Ariao had given the unusual recommendation in the hopes that the Angwithan ruin would capture the killer's soul and prevent it from returning to the wheel. During a recent cleanup operation, an Orlan child... Oh wait, we already read that. Yeah, this was just the description of the quest. It's down here. The hunt for Neden's remains proved difficult, as the Glenfathans lied incessantly to cover for those who were responsible, and Orlan Rishalgwyn helped Baron sort the truth out, eventually recovering every part of the dead murderer's body. Though the Glenfathans are more than willing to lie about what they had done, none of them turned violent when Baron and the Brishalgwyn confronted them, and Anamfath ordered the Brishalgwyn to bury the body in a new location that was less well travelled than the paths near Cleabin Rilag. Upon returning to Cadnua, Baron realised that the Anamfath had never asked for Neden's ring finger to be returned. experience, money, and item. So, Baron returns to Stronghold with 1,460 experience, Nidan's finger, money. Spoils await in the Great Hall treasury chest. Fair enough. It's still being done. He's still in jail. How long until this wall's done? 2 days, 14 hours.
I'll give it a try, at least.
Oh, patient records. Attacks of the Pale Lady. Subject is female, mid-40s, awakened to a past life as a serial murderer, which now frequently emerges as the soul's dominant personality. Subject vacillates between violence and severe depression resulting from guilt of past deeds. Weak candidate for present research. Graham. Subject is a male, approximately early 30s, powers of speech absent, presumably as a result of the overfragmentation of his soul. As such, he is the ideal subject for present research. However, experimentation has caused severe pain and induced panic, and I've had to enlist the aid of the guards in transporting him for more recent procedures. The Midnight Man. Subject is male, mid-20s, displays acute dissociation and paranoid delusional tendencies, causing anger and extreme violence. Dangers of working with the subject preclude possibility of further use in present research. Uskrim. Subject is a male approximately 17 years of age, admitted for episodes of catatonia, followed by occasional violent outbursts. Initial analysis of soul revealed severe fragmentation and essence deficiency. Said deficiency all but eliminates a possibility of utilizing the subject in present research. Talk to Ilthumor about Anzo, or Azo. Note from Azo. Ripley, I require more copper tubing for my next experiment. Do not requisition it from the sanitarium stores. I don't have the time to deal with the head warden's inevitable questions. Cardman Azo.
Hail, traveler.
Ripley. A young Orlan woman traces her fingers along the spines of the books in front of her, row by row. Her motions quick and skittish like a bird's. She does not notice you until you're nearly upon her. Oh my, you startled me. Are you supposed to be in here? What do you do here? I mostly help Master Azel set up and clean his equipment. I also keep his office organized since he's too busy to do it himself. There's nothing else, I need to get back to work. I'm looking for an expert in awakenings. Me? I'm just Master Azel's assistant. There's a visiting scholar from Revera here named Belisage. She claims to know about them. The edges of the cage are dented and scored with claw marks. Interesting. Alright, let's go tell the statue about Azo, or Azo. This has been a very reading heavy episode so far. Ugh.
Welcome!
I found records that Azo may be running some questionable experiments. Experiments? Kidman Azo's in charge of patient welfare now. He's not authorized to run any more experiments. I am disappointed in Cadman. I'd hoped he would be the one to guide your inquiry. He'll be in his office or in the patient wards. I'm granting you immediate access so you can find him. No doubt you'll wish to speak to him further in this matter, and I for one am curious as to what you might have to say. Tread carefully in the wards, there are a few dangerous areas. I would ask also that you do your best not to agitate the patients. They have enough troubles as it is. Alright, let's hunt him down through the patient wards. Alright, let's find the bastard. Hey, you don't happen to know exactly where he is, do you?
Good day to you.
Nope. The construct turns its head towards you and watches warily. Ah, interesting. A curved spine twists this woman's posture forward, her greasy hair draped over her large eyes like vines. She smiles at you. You must be visiting someone. Then, knowing your appearance, she adds, a friendly visit, I hope. Have any of the patients here been acting unusually? Well, there's Batixa, who relives a murder she committed more than 5 lifetimes ago. Edelman, who they say has only half a soul, and who's found collecting the faces of others because he believed his own to be a false one. Graham, he speaks in a language no one understands, and wails at night sometimes. Different from their normal behaviour, I mean. Well, yes, I suppose, but nothing they didn't volunteer for. Master Azo let us know that a number of patients in the North Ward had volunteered for a new therapy and would be escorted to his laboratory to receive treatment. The North Ward has our most troubled cases. I'm glad some of them have chosen to get help. It seems to me it's gotten quieter over there since it started. It's Graham I see them taking in the most. He struggles, but he always was a bit of a wild one. Would I be able to visit the North Ward? They like to keep them separate. I don't know that I've ever seen the guards allow the visitor. Just Master Azo. You might ask him, he's very sympathetic. Why are you in here? I don't want to say. He'll think less of me. You can tell me. I'm going crazy too. You shouldn't tease. No one in here can help what they are. I know. I've tried. These last few years haven't been kind to me. They haven't been kind to anyone, really. I try not to think of it as personal. I lost my husband and both boys in the Saints' War. My daughter, the legacy took her before she was ever mine. I made do. What else can you do? I moved into a tiny place in Andra's gift. Got by mending clothes and on the kindness of strangers when I had to. But I was surviving, and the gods were watching over me. I could live with that. Then one day this noblewoman comes in, wants his fancy gown fixed. Gorgeous thing, this shade of blue I'd never seen before. Only I had. I looked at it and it reminded me of something. I had what they call an awakening. I remembered being a noblewoman myself in another life. People doting over me. Men doting over me. Me! The best food, the most beautiful home. All of the things you never dare dream of. They were mine. It was poison knowing that. All those things I had, that I'll never have in this life. It did something to me. My food started to taste rotten. The walls in my little room seemed to close in around me. I stopped being able to sleep in my own bed. So I came here. It was that or break into an estate and start ordering servants around. It seems like such a silly thing to worry about. You don't have to tell me, but I can't get past it. I start to wonder, did the gods choose this life for me? And if so, what terrible thing must I have done to deserve it? Maybe you'll get there again one day. If not in this life, then in another. The strange part is, I think even the best wouldn't be good enough for me anymore. I think it must have gotten to the point that I was when I was that noble lady. What do you know about Azo? Oh, I like him very much. Many animancers could care less about the patients. look at us like vermin for their experiments. But Master Azo treats us like humans, even the very sick. You can tell he does this to help people. He's helped me understand a great deal about myself, and I know he's done the same for others. It's too bad what they did to him. He hides it well, but I know he's still affected by it. What they do to him. Frill's eyes dart back and forth, and her voice lowers to just above a whisper. They don't like to talk about it, but there was an accident. He was said to be one of the brightest in Deerwood. That was his reputation here. That was what brought me to seek treatment. People say it was ego that drove him to try and solve the legacy, but that's hogwash. Even if he was a bit of a showman, he loves his homeland. He thought he could help. He wasn't one to speak of his work, suspected his colleagues might have tried to steal it, but he told me once he'd and my controller died. Where was I? He wasn't one to speak of his work, suspected his colleagues might have tried to steal it, but he told me once he'd figured out a way to create a soul. Not a soul exactly, mind you. How did he put it? A proxy, I think he called it. Had some machine that drew energy out of the very ether. Can you imagine? The point is, it was going to help with the legacy. It was going to make Hollowborn into something easier to love and care for. Gods know that's something we need. Do you know what they call those empty little babies in Andra's gift? No, tell me. They call them boys, because so many of them are found floating face down in the water. These are mad times. Anyway, Master Azo had scheduled a public demonstration of his work in Copperlane. He was so excited. Then the next day he was locked in his office, turning away visitors, I heard. And he stopped seeing patients. I don't know exactly what happened, and I don't have the heart to ask him, but I'm glad they're letting him treat people again. Do you know where I might find Ezo? I think I've seen him around today. Have you checked the laboratory? It shares a wall with his office. He's been spending most of his time there lately.
I shall be
This is
discreet.
a much bigger place than I expected it to be.
Keeping an eye out.
Need a key for that.
What's this?
Some smuggled snowcat. Not as big as I thought, actually. This is the last room. Well, except for the locked door there, and then the room they said the wolves are in.
A blade in the dark.
I can do that. As requested.
Ooh, Ravenwing. Unique mace. 3D or bypass. Extra accuracy when attacking the same target as an ally. Extra damage attacking the same target as an ally. And an extra 45% damage and 4 accuracy. Legend tells of a druid, wise and powerful, who travelled accompanied by a flock of ravens. In battle, the druid would assail his enemies with his mace, while the ravens descended in a chaotic swarm, distracting and flanking his foes. Years of coordinated attacks and the druid's lingering magic are said to have gifted his mace with an enchantment that lends its wielder similar gifts. The mace is finely wrought and lightweight, making it maneuverable. It's not very resistant against direct attacks. Against a distracted opponent, however, a single blow often proves quite sufficient. Actually, I think I've got some other unique weapons here. Just see if anything is useful that I've been overlooking. What's draining? 20% of damage restored is endurance. A one-handed flail, two-handed sword, one-handed stiletto, and one-handed sword. You can keep yours for now. You're still fine with what you've got. You're fine with what you've got. Oh wait, what about this? Yeah, I think I'll give you this, actually. Same speed, same interrupt, higher damage, crush instead of slash, and with the coordinating and everything being the tank, should do alright for him.
I can do that. I can do that. As requested.
Unique light armor. So plus 50 defense while stunned, plus 50 defense while prone, and plus 2 damage reduction. So, what's good for you? It's just better than yours, except it doesn't have the overseeing, which is the 10% ability or effect, but it might be something I want to swap out. Or I might want to give it to you. 10% less recovery speed, but an extra 4 DR. Or do I want it? I think I might want to, actually. Yeah, that looks fairly druidy. Does anyone else want hand and key? Sure, you can have that. I should have saved first, just in case this goes horribly wrong. A round-faced, balding man turns to face you. His upper lip is pulled upwards slightly. By his pointed nose, exposing his upper teeth when he scowls.
What is the meaning of this?
Looking for an expert in awakenings. I don't have time to give you directions. Go bother somebody else. I'd like access to the North Ward. Out with the question. Those patients are in isolation for a reason. Your forehead seems damp all of a sudden. Perhaps I should discuss your insubordination with the head warden.
You smug cretin. How dare you come down here and meddle? You have no idea the importance of my research.
He balls up his fist and digs his teeth into his index finger, growls simmering beneath his breath and a deep scowl compressing his face.
Fine. Speak to them for all the good it'll do you. I'm sure the discussions will be fascinating.
He pulls a heavy key from one of his pockets and nearly slams it down on the floor before handing it to you. Heard you were demoted. How'd that happen? Hazel's nostrils flare and he bares his upper teeth more broadly. That's none of your concern. Did one of the others put you up to this? Oddmere, that smug weasel. Things went wrong. Everything. I don't know how. I'll never know. He spits on the floor as if to remove a bitter taste from his mouth. Well, Ethelmore told me you're not supposed to be doing any more experiments. Yes, well, Ethelmore hasn't done much good for anybody since he had his soul moved to an inanimate object, so I fail to see why I should let that sway me. If Animancers all followed the commands of their leaders, where would we be? We'd all be as backward and willfully ignorant as Red Ceres. We would know nothing about life or death, or even ourselves. We'd be lost in the dark with no clue as to why. Our leaders guide us, and without them we risk losing our way. If this man would strike off on his own, then let him fend for himself, without the benefit of the sanitarium. Surely there are other paths that don't involve risking lives.
Indeed. Many lives have been spent in such pursuits, writing treatises and poems. But tell me this, how does one verify the truth of a poem? If some philosopher stumbled across the meaning of our existence, how would we know it from a false one? These are wasted lives. In Animancy there is progress. We are measurably closer to complete understanding because of our work, and that will be true until our work is complete. Who will solve Widewen's legacy? Some church? Some warrior? It will be an Animancer, or it will be no one at all.
Have you tried your experiments in any other subjects? I have, yes. No point in lying about it, now that Ethelmore is involved. I asked for volunteers from our patients, and a few brave souls came forward. It was very close at one time to a breakthrough. They understood that. They understood their sacrifices would mean something. Okay. Got the key. Get up to the north wing now. Let's just drop a save because it's been a little bit. Is this my face? Tell me. Thundering sky, rain of blood, innocence must drown. Here's Graham. This man has the look in his eyes of a hunted animal, and at your approach he staggers backward to the far corner of his cell, halfway appearing as though he would climb the walls if it get him farther away from you. He cries out, a bizarre primal utterance like nothing you'd heard. You need to ask you some questions. Graham looks at you blankly. It is unclear whether he understands you or not, but his panic has momentarily subsided. He opens his mouth to speak, but the words that come out are half-formed, as though his tongue were cut out. They are impossible for you to discern, if indeed they are words at all. I don't think he can speak anymore. Not in words, at least. This is monstrous. You're afraid. Do certain visitors make you afraid? He looks at you with uncertainty. Slowly, tentatively, he steps closer to the front of his cell. And as he does so, for the first time you can perceive his soul within your ken. It is misshapen, as though maimed by some jagged instrument, and large expanses of it have been gouged out entirely. You feel no barriers of resistance. If you wanted to, you could look further into Graham's soul. Yeah, let's take a look. You project outward toward the main soul in front of you, merging with it, its confusion and fear becoming yours as it whisks you into its depths. You're in your cell. A key turns, the door creaks open in neglected hinges. Thoughts come to you in waves, incomplete, broken, fearful. Standing at the door is a rotund, balding man. His upper teeth and pointy nose remind you of a rat. He beckons, apologetic. You don't want to go. Anything else. In your mind is a single word, and the word is no, but it dissolves before it reaches your lips. You press against the back wall. Cornered, you cry out. In darkness, you fight against unseen restraints. You cannot move your arms or legs. The man walks into the room carrying a lit candle, its meager frame, flame casting long shadows against books and machinery. Straps bind your arms and legs. Cold metal circumscribes the crown of your head and the breadth of your chest. The man is sorry. He's in need of raw materials. They dismantled his work and he needs another source. He needs to show them he was right. He thanks you. Then he turns a knob and you feel yourself begin to crack from within. You can feel pieces of you torn away, like having your insides chewed by a horde of rats. You are screaming a scream you can barely hear. Another night, heavy footsteps outside your door, coming for you. You look through a slit in your door. The flesh giant, the artificial being just outside, but facing left, facing the end of the hall. The boy there. The boy looks with interest at the giant, then collapses to the floor like a shed snakeskin. The giant convulses for a moment, then rights itself, turns away, and leaves. The boy's soul jumped from his body to the flesh giant. Interesting. Let's decouple. Graham looks at you, still wild-eyed, but somehow more present. He nods at you, then walks back to the end of his cell.
These poor people. This isn't the treatment that they were promised upstairs by the cushioned seats and lush carpets. Is that the cure for soul sickness? To be thrown into a cell and subjected to the whims of your captor?
I doubt the wealthier citizens have the same experience. I'm sure they have their share of family members they'd rather forget. But if all were treated like this, the sanitarium would never survive. What did these patients do to warrant such conditions? Who's the source of all that knowledge you were so giddy about? It is one thing to be told as much, another to see it yourself. Let's be on our way. This place gnaws at the soul. Save again, just in case this goes horribly wrong. willowy adolescent boy stands in the corner of his cell, gawkish and stoop-shouldered. He stares straight ahead. The occasional blink is only movement, and it is unclear whether he registers your presence at all behind his glassy, doll-like eyes. In this state, the barriers between your soul and his are thin and porous, easily bypassed if you should wish it. Touch the soul. You close your eyes and edge forward toward the boy's soul, and as you near, a sudden malaise comes over you. You're cold and warm all at once, sweating and shivering and straining for breath, as you did on the caravan journey. The soul you approach is the wrong one. A parasitic plant that strangles its host. It is predatory and pitiless, and you have crossed paths with it before. Too late does it occur to you to retract, and already you feel yourself plunging into some indeterminable abyss of thought and memory. You're standing in a cell now, the same cell in the sanitarium. The halls are moonlit and empty, and you are waiting. At the far end of the ward, the door opens, revealing a flesh golem in silhouette beneath the stone archway. It makes its usual rounds, the same stops every time, the misbegotten child of despondent creators. When the construct is close, you coil yourself up and spring forward, passing out of the boy's body as though it were a membrane. You can sense his body behind you collapsing to the floor, a puppet whose strings are cut. You're rushing towards the golem now, bodiless as a gust of wind. Quickly, you think to yourself, quickly, and you feel the strength hemorrhaging from your soul as you dart towards the makeshift abomination. You pass into the golem's shell and overtake the soul implanted within, encircling it, suppressing it, and contained in this new vessel, you are strong again. You step heavy-footed in corridors unheeded by the other constructs, and scrutinized only by the wary, untrustworthy eyes of the mad, coming at last to an office piled with books and scribbled papers and the perverse implements of animancy. You set your oversized hands upon a large machine, a nest of globes and tubes and coils in the center of the room, and go to work, bending wires and unsettling alignments. Your surroundings are pulled past you, or perhaps you are pulled past them, and they dissolve into a blur. When they settle into place again, you are outside on a clear day, standing in front of a crowd stacked high above you in the tiered seats of an amphitheater. You are acting for the crowd, standing deliberately still, but this is no play. A balding man with rodent-like features is strapping you to a machine, the one you tampered with. You see your arms for the first time, short and fleshy, unmistakably those of a little girl, but this body is not truly yours. Your mind still holds the same determination, the same hard-heartedness as before. The body itself is cold and vacuous. Unlike the others, this one has no soul of its own. The man speaks and the crowd applauds with an enthusiasm worthy of a hero's entrance. Bear witness, he says, and he pulls a lever. The machine shivers and sparks, and a bead of sweat rolls down the side of the man's brow. But the crowd's apprehension quickly gives way to awe as a crystal globe fills with a radiant mist that casts the entire theater aglow. He opens a valve and the glow crawls through a tube along a length of copper wiring that runs to a set of electrodes beneath your armpits. You feel nothing when it reaches you, as it should be, but you have been leading his work astray periodically for some time, altering notes and settings and playing puppeteer for Hollowbarn. But you make it look how people would expect it to look when a body is infused with a soul. In a moment the machine goes dark, and the man unstraps you, eyeing you with a scientist's concern. He looks back up at the crowd. Behold, he says. There's obvious hesitation in his voice. Slowly you take a plodding step forward, then another, and another. You look up at the man, giving him the eye contact of which no Hollowborn is capable, and the crowd gasps. The man looks relieved. How do you feel? He asks at a volume meant for the crowd. and this is the moment. At the top of your lungs, you let out a piercing shriek. The man comes towards you, his hands outstretched, but you run the other way, back to the machine. With all your strength, you drive your head into the crystal globe and it shatters, streaking your head with warm blood. You drive your head down onto the surface of the machine again and again, drawing panicked screams from the crowd. By the time the man reaches you, your body has already ceased proper function and merely twitches on the cold ground. Satisfied, you depart the corpse in search of another unsuspecting host. Who could put their faith in animancy now? You're pulled again from your surroundings, transcending the boundaries of memories and lifetimes, deeper and deeper past betrayals and murders and lies upon lies that form the thick webbing of plots beyond mortal comprehension. You settle at last in a room you've seen before, expansive with a tall device encasing an Adra monolith at its center. The room is filled with people, and the people all look to the device. You are yanked suddenly back to reality, and the once catatonic boy in the cell is looking directly at you, appraising, calculating. There's no mistaking now that it is the soul of the man who caused your awakening that gazes out from that borrowed husk. A watcher. I believe we share a common past. I'm just looking for some answers. Is that so? He makes no effort to hide his disinterest, but he continues to search your eyes. He makes a slight grunting noise. His eyes soften for an instant, and it seems, for that moment, that he recognizes you. He opens his mouth to speak, then seems to think better of what he was about to say. His jaw tightens. I know your look. You hunger for answers that elude you. It gnaws at your soul. It usurps your reason for being. You are like everyone. I will help you let go. He dodges backward with startling grace, putting himself out of reach. On his face there is no malice, only the dispassion of a farmer putting down a sick animal. Then suddenly he slumps forward. Wonderful.
Braved out.
I guess I can only have one summon out. so how much? Say just from that battle alone. So from a fight of that scale, we got 40 out of the 200 raw damage we needed. So that's not bad, it should come fairly quickly.
I shall be quiet as a calm sea, which is not very quiet.
Bunch of clubs and daggers, sure.
Brave thou Philothelim.
Let it come in, please.
That's not very helpful.
Let them all come in. Just get right back here. Sure, now it's
Roll up.
Shadow!
Keeping an eye out.
do the same thing here. Just back up, let it get through the doorway, and then attack.
Brave thou
Lavaru, be on.
Laying low.
Well, done! You've been experimenting on patients against their wills, mangling their souls. I've witnessed it with my own eyes. How could you possibly? Look, it had to be done. Ethelmore and the others, they took everything from me. Everything when I was this close. I had to know. Had to know where I failed and why. Imagine the value if I'd succeeded. I had something that could make all those hollow infants into something like a real person. And with a few more patrons and a few years of research, who knows? No one has come that close with the legacy. It's why I have to continue. Why I have to risk everything here, working in secret. It's why you have to lie to Ethelmore for me. Tell him you cleared me of all suspicion. I'm gonna expose you for what you are.
Then I can't let you get in my way either.
Works for me. Ow. Ow again. His research journal. I'm close to a breakthrough. I've found an ample source of essence now, and the vessels have responded positively to infusion with the proxy. Human trials are the next logical course. And his record of Graham. Oh, yeah, it's the same as the record we found in his office. That's fine. What's with the swirl?
A blade in the dark.
So much
Oh, the Windsor. Loose.
So much feet.
They won't see me coming.
Alright, do the same back right up, let it come through. Then attack. Hopefully the rest of these guys manage to evacuate, except you, you're just still there. Wow. Can I... Oh, it's a patient. I'm getting out of here, it's not safe anymore. Why have you stayed? You just don't care about any of the stuff that's just happened? Well, hopefully we didn't throw all of the upper levels into disarray as well with that. What the blazes happened in there? You were given permission to ask questions. I had things under control until I killed the Lenki spy, at which point he possessed a flesh construct. I have read accounts of people in history who could do what you describe. The accounts are few and brief and never reliable. Some go as far as to suggest that they are all the same person. If truly such a person was here amongst us, plotting our ruin, would that I had a body again and could be of some real use in our time of need. I fear what the future might hold for this place. Sorry, 1 second, I need to... Okay. Sorry about that, just had to look at something quickly. I'm grateful you were able to dispatch a threat before there was loss of innocent life. We very nearly had another scandal in our hands. Well, Vezo, What part did his experiments play in this catastrophe? I confronted Azo. I was forced to kill him. Such a waste. There was none more gifted working here. In time I had hoped to rehabilitate his image, but a mind like his, so full of ideas, leaves little room for patience. I would inquire more into the matter, but in truth you have done this institution a favour. Were his transgressions ever to reach the public, there would be a terrible uproar. I was blind to have trusted him a second time. His tone takes an ominous quality that reverberates all around you. I trust you will be more cautious in future inquiries.
Welcome! Well met, friend.
Alright, well I guess we're done in the sanatorium. We've just got to subdue the screw.
Welcome.
Ah, hello. We couldn't speak to you earlier. A bald man with a crooked nose gestures in demonstration over the still body of a patient before a small gathering of interested onlookers. Feeling your gaze, he pauses his discussion. Oh, I think we were supposed to have been able to talk to him before we went down. I'd like to know more about the sanitarium. It's the mission that attracted me here. The treatment of the disturbed. No one else seems to care about them. Here, they've worked wonders for them. I've seen people cured of insatiable hungers and uncontrollable urges. I've seen the crippled walk and the dysphoric smile, all within these walls. The thought that the Duke should put an end to it with a single order, it keeps me up nights.
Gods keep you.
What is it you do here? Close as we are to the Glanfallen Wilds, we get a number of bioac maimings every year, survivors dealing with complications from exposure. This fellow here is a severe case. His essence is a mere whisper of what it was. I am early in my research, only beginning to understand how they work, but in time I hope to find a way to protect people from the storm's effects.
How do you do?
And you know nothing of awakenings. Alright, out we go. See if we get clues to where the soul went. I think most of these other unique weapons I've picked up I can probably just sell at some point soon. Hello.
Welcome!
Beg your pardon, I have a message for you. You are summoned to Hadrat House, where Lady Webb wishes to meet with you as soon as possible. And here I thought the locals were exaggerating about Downward Row. Seems like your name's come up in some important meetings. Hope nobody was shouting it at the time. How did you know where to find me? Well, it's Lady Webb. She knows everything. Tell me about her. Do you not know Lady Webb? She's... well, no one's seen her exactly in a long time. But she's the mistress of Downward Row. Has been for as long as anyone can remember. She's supposed to be old. Older than anybody. She never leaves her room. Some say she's wasted away and she's just a pile of bones kept animated by dark magics. She's still at it, best anyone can tell. Learning things, keeping us safe, pulling the strings behind the throne too, it's said. As a ring of ciphers doing her bidding, telling her everything that goes on. You do wrong in this country. Before you go asking the gods for forgiveness, best you ask Lady Webb first. Dunwood Row. A whole mess of ciphers runs out of Hadrid House. They make it their business to keep the peace, but they don't like you to see them do it. Problems in this city have a way of going away on their own, and when that happens, you can make a pretty good guess as to why. Where is it? Just over there, my lord. The southwest corner of Brackenbury. You'll find the lady upstairs. Alright, more intrigue. Well, hello. Oh, it's you. As you near the apparition, you're overcome suddenly by a powerful anxiety that sits like a stone in your stomach. The feeling is not quite real, the recollection of emotion rather than the emotion itself. It wrenches your insides nevertheless. The apparition's brow is tensed, a look of concern playing across his face.
The other missionaries say you have been neglectful of your duties.
My mind has been elsewhere.
Oh? And what troubles you?
The pain in your stomach deepens, and you feel for a moment as though you're about to be sick. Your mouth has gone dry. Forgive me, Eminence. I wish to leave the order. The man folds his fingers together and presses them to his mouth. Thoughtful.
You have been an apt student, and your convictions have inspired those around you. May I ask what has changed to make you feel this way?
The people we intended to convert, they committed unspeakable acts, sacrifices, mutilations. The apparition exhales slowly, and its lips press together, a sympathetic rapport in its eyes. It places its hand on your shoulder.
These are the ways of the heathen world.
Surely the gods would do better to destroy us all and start anew.
Perhaps they would. It may come to that one day. This is why we must not fail. The heathens are beyond the gods' reach. They do not know better. We are tasked with delivering them to the gods, so that the gods may heal their souls.
Is such a thing possible?
I have seen it with my own eyes. You will see it too, if you choose to remain. There is no greater calling than the one we have chosen. Neither words, nor wealth, nor battle will end this suffering. Only the gods. Will you give them that chance?
The knot in your stomach seems to loosen all at once, and the anxiety is replaced with something else entirely. Something warm and soothing, and it is something you know you can never repay. As the vision fades, you start to become cognizant of the many old looks aimed in your direction. Your last response echoes in your mind. I will. Interesting. So her soul previously was part of the Leaden Key. They initiated themselves into it.
Good day, stranger.
The Orlin man is surrounded by books and scrolls. His wiry hair stands nearly on end, and his ears prick up as you approach. You carry whispers, Cadnua, Gilded Veil, old voices indeed. How did you know? As a cipher, it's my job to know these things. You carry the whiff of ancients. What else can you tell me? Not as much as I would like, unfortunately. My duties for Lady Webb require me to focus my talents elsewhere. What brings you to Dunwood Row? Is this affidavit real? It's signed by you. He holds a page but seems to stare through the words, as if something woven in the fabric of the paper. I remember Benelm, a preening peacock of a man, his mouth dry and hands moist when I told him he was a soul descending of an Adrian general, one who'd fought against Hadrit's rebellion. A forgery, not the first I've seen, but I've no time for the knights and their obsessions. Bring this to the commander, Cleaver, and show him the seal. If he compares it with another, he should be able to spot the difference. Doom a man for the soul the gods gave him? Seems rather unfair. Looks as though you could use some help. So many secrets and trails in the city. You have to but turn a corner to find a fresh trace of something stolen, or someone missing. Unfortunately, we haven't the time to investigate them all. I'm supposed to be working on other matters, but my mind still lingers on a few recent cases. Curse of a cipher to be ruled by the whims of curiosity. Tell me about them. One case or three, depending on how you look at it. 3 weeks and a disappearance at the end of each. Some might call it a coincidence. I call it a clue. Lady Webb knows you, trusts you, so I shall trust you too, so long as our interests are aligned. Why can't you look into it? A matter of priorities, says Lady Webb. Many problems in Defiance Bay these days. Problems with more than a few missing persons at stake. I'll look into it. Just like one of those Valen whodunits. Read a few of those on the road. Helps pass the time. Copper Lane, Andra's Gift, and Brackenbury, of course. To talk to the ones who reported the disappearances, the only ones who know enough to care. Laura, Ollie, and Elka. Who's missing? 2 men, 1 woman. Lendry, Kendall, and Cora. Tell me about Lendry. Best ask Ollie. Seems they drank together at Salty Mast in Andra's Gift. Also seems no one else knew him well enough to miss him. About Kendall. Reported missing by Elka, a dwarf who carries traces of fine wine and young dandies. Plenty of time and money to spend on her pleasures. Try Brackenbury. About Lendry. Oh, I've already done that. About Cora. Sister of Laura, one of the merchants in the Copper Lane Bazaar. Not the kind of person who'd just disappear, it seems. Laura was most distraught. I think a visit from someone sympathetic will raise her spirits. Did you find any leads? Not yet. No obvious connection between the victims, which is what makes me wonder so. Could be animancy related. Researchers always need subjects, the less scrupulous types in particular. Seems too risky for the sanitarium, but one never knows. I wouldn't put it past them. Talk first to the people who reported our victims missing. Mayhap you'll catch something I missed. Tell me more about your skills. I check for soul connections, looking for lost things, missing things, or troublesome things, particularly where people of power and influence are concerned. I'm a cipher. In Erglan Fath we were once known as Brishogwyn. Mind Hunters. Nice title, yes, but it wasn't until the Animancers began working with my kind 40 years ago that we truly understood our power. Now we make for some of the best detectives in the world. Tracing souls, we can look at a person and see where they've been, or look at a weapon and see who's touched it. Useful for solving crimes, as you can imagine.
They won't see me coming.
So we progressed one side quest and picked up an entirely new one.
Nice and quiet.
I'll give it a try, at least. I can do that. I can do that. As requested.
Hey, would you like to turn around and walk away? So I can take all of your stuff? Thank you.
Keeping an eye out.
Nope, no way I'm gonna be able to take the fine dagger. Alright, let's try upstairs. Go find Lady Webb.
Margaret's fire casts light in dark places.
Laying low.
Friendly AoE +3 lore. Okay, cool. Not gonna be able to take that, but
Laying low.
we'd find an extra 500 copper. Nah, I know where we're gonna be able to take it. Alright, let's go in and see Lady Webb.
Margaret's fire casts light in dark places.
Nope, not gonna be able to take that either.
I'll give it a try, at least.
Or that. This woman clutches a thick stack of parchment with spindly, wrinkled fingers, their flesh stretched thin to near translucence with extreme age. A gossamer veil over pale blue veins. Ink splotches and candle burns dot and stripe her hands like a quilt patterned after some great indescribable truth. She does not look up from her reading.
So, the messenger conveyed my summons. A miracle that would make the reincarnation of Aothis look like a child's cantrip, surely. It doesn't draw the most inspired minds, messaging. They failed me so many times of late, I nearly sent a cipher after you instead. So this is the Watcher who took over Cad Noir. Oh, don't look so surprised. It isn't an attractive expression. I wouldn't be where I am for long if I let details like that escape me.
This is exactly what I would picture Alot's mother to be like.
And this fiasco in the sanitarium that you seem to have gotten yourself into the middle of. What in blazes possessed you to stir that nest of trouble?
There's someone I need to find.
Not just any someone, though. Someone in the service of the Leaden Key. You're not the only one with an interest in their recent activities. I've lost 4 ciphers this year alone trying to get someone inside their ranks. As it is, we only have our suspicions about who is in the group and what they intend, which I suppose means we have much in common with them. I asked you here because I wanted to know what your interest was in all of this. I thought perhaps we might help each other. Why are you looking for the Leaden Key?
I ran across a man in one of the ruins. It's important that I find him again. She closes her eyes and the lids flicker. Then her face goes still, and her mouth parts, little more than a sliver, and her hand briefly drops open, spilling some of her parchment on the ground, the pages wafting around her legs like the leaves of a dying tree. Her fleshy eyelids peel back, and her gaze is immediately upon you.
The gods are cruel, I'm afraid. The man you seek is Theos Ix Arcanon, Grand Master of the Leaden Key. One of the most elusive and dangerous men Eora has ever known.
How do you know I seek Theos?
Because you have seen his face, and that makes it a simple matter for me to see it. You even happened to catch him in his ceremonial garb, it seems. It must have been a special occasion.
What can you tell me about Theos?
More than most, though very few would know so much as his name. And there is no way of knowing how much of what I've read is true. The Leaden Key dates back more than 2,000 years. If rumors are to be believed, Theos was the one who created it. What scraps of evidence exist suggest that he has died many times, only to be reborn each time exactly the same man, awakened during adolescence with all the knowledge and experience of all his lifetimes. The plots he orchestrates sometimes take hundreds of years to bear fruit. Needless to say, this is not the natural order of things. But he is said to be one of Woodica's favored, and that old bat was never one to let rules get in the way of favoritism. That may also explain another supposed gift of his. His body is no boundary to his soul, and he is known to take possession of others, if their souls are weak enough. Often it is for elaborate deceptions, but sometimes he simply forces them to kill themselves. He is not known for his generous supply of pity. He is also not one to show himself in any but their most critical matters. If he has directly involved himself in whatever the group plots now, it may be your only chance to find him. And once you do find him, if you can find him, I would not hold my hopes too high if I were you. He is a driven, single-minded man. He will not have the slightest concern for your problems.
How do you know so much about Theos?
The same way I come by all my knowledge. Exhaustive research, spying, bribery, perhaps some less savory measures. Whatever the knowledge demands, I pay in full. There is nothing of greater value. Unfortunately, with Theos, there is also nothing more scarce. He has covered his tracks far too well. His manipulations of the course of history are lost to time now, though I believe they were many.
What else is there to know about the Leaden Key?
Precious little, I'm afraid. You may know much of it already. No one member knows the identity of more than a handful of other members. They are kept in the dark of missions they are not involved in, or sometimes of those they are involved in. They exist to hide secrets they themselves don't know, if you can imagine how gullible someone must be for that to appeal. Despite that, they are very good at what they do, owing much to their founder, who will take matters into his own hands when necessary, and he does not fail.
What do you want from me?
Keep me informed. The Leaden Key has been busy lately, and that is distressing news. I can only guess as to what they intend. You seem to have a knack for turning the stones they've crawled beneath. Keep turning them. Dunreed Row will not stop you. Whatever it is they're up to, figuring it out will be of great use to both of us. In your case, it will surely point you to Theos. In return, I will share our knowledge with you as we learn it, and provide you with what assistance I can.
Very well.
If you find your trail has run cold, come to me with whatever you have. There is much I may be able to do for you.
There's something I can tell you about the Leaden Key's operations.
Well, let's hear it.
I found Theos in Brackenbury Sanitarium impersonating a patient. He was trying to damage the public's opinion of animancy.
Forgive me, it is unlike Theos to leave witnesses. He must be furious. He did not aid you as you'd hoped, I take it? Well, take heart. With any luck, when he has finished his business, he will surely come and find you again, if only to kill you while you sleep. This news of yours makes sense, of course. To dabble in animancy is to puzzle over the secrets of the gods. This would not be the Leaden Key's first action against it. But if this is connected to their other activities, we may be in for something on a much larger scale. If we can learn more about their goals and methods, perhaps we can get the palace behind us. With Avar's support, we may be able to put a stop to this.
That's all.
Yes?
Tell me more about Dunreed Row.
All the things there are to know in this world, and you ask me about work. Deerwood is a rebel country. Conflict is in its blood. If you think a few guards posted in our cities keep chaos at bay, you are very new to town indeed. We are Deerwood's cipher investigators, of course. But what we really are is its last barrier against anarchy. People are more at ease when they believe they are watched over by someone more enlightened than they are. It pacifies them. So that is the image we foster. And we do try to be enlightened for their sake. The knowledge we gather here is Deerwood's standing army in many ways. We learn what's vital and we act on it while Deerwood sleeps, blissfully unaware of the terrifying truths all around them.
Oops. Didn't mean to press a button. I wish I could tell people the things I know sometimes, but the truth is, I don't think many of them could bear it. How did you come to be here?
Me? I started this place, in a different time, under a different duke. I impressed the duke with my research and my work ethic, and he became possessed of the notion that I would be ideal to lead a secret network of gifted investigators. I don't know how such an idea got into his head.
How old are you? You wicked man, where are your manners? Were you raised without a shred of decency?
I lost count ages ago. Such a strange thing to celebrate, getting closer to death. Oh, I've had my share of work done to prolong my existence, if that's what you're wondering. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not done here. There are things I still wish to learn. And I'll be the effigy if I let Bereth carry me off before I'm through. There was a time when I considered enlisting the theorems of Pondgrum to extend my life indefinitely. I found the thought of devouring my political enemies to sustain my own life greatly appealing. I must have gone soft with age.
Are you psychic?
If you are hoping I can look at your hand and tell you whom you should marry, you can just wipe that notion from your mind. I do not know what will happen tomorrow. That is what I pay spies for. Being a cipher is not unlike being a watcher. You notice more about what is already there. Many can hold an object and know where it's been, or peer into the thoughts of people around them. They can also sometimes affect those thoughts, but that would be unethical, of course. A tiny, talented few pick up so much about the world around them They can get images of things to come, but these are fleeting and unreliable.
You said you don't know what'll happen tomorrow.
Who said I was talented? I don't. Least not that I can trust. And with me, it's only ever about one thing anyway.
What's that?
A quiet day at home.
Is there a Lord Webb?
There was.
What happened to him?
He believed in dying with dignity. He was old-fashioned that way, my husband. We saw the world very differently, he and I. But he was good to me while he lasted. Try your best not to die out there.
I'll try. I have informed her about their
How
activities,
fares
right?
your search?
For now, yeah. Alright, well, hasn't been all that long, only 3.5 hours. But I'm gonna have to wrap it up there for this time. This has been very heavy reading. There's been a lot of dialogue, a lot of conversation with various people. So it's been a bit of a slow one. And we still have another half of the city to look. But from the sound of it, Heritage Hill is going to be primarily combat anyway, so it's going to be a little more action oriented when we get to that. Oh, hello. Just talked to that little cipher, did you? One of my novitiates told me he'd seen someone in the records room. Give me the affidavit. I've done nothing to you. Your superiors deserve to know the truth. What truth? That over a century ago I was some Adiran who's dust in the ground now? I'll ask you one more time. Give that back. Don't be a fool. We're in public. Which is why everyone will be shocked to hear that you assaulted a company of Crucible Knights without provocation. Including one with such a spotless record as mine. You're all gonna die.
Great.
Join arms!
Shit. This is a little difficult to aim. That should do okay. least alive. Yes, I'm aware he's hurting bad. There's nothing else he can do. Well, that happened.
Oh, I wish we'd brought a sled.
Hey, there's a family breastplate. Okay, well, with that was an unexpected bit of combat right at the end. Fair enough, that'll help make up for the abundance of conversation we've been having up till now. But yeah, that's gonna do it for just now. A little under 4 hours this time, a bit shorter than I usually like my streams. But life beckons at the moment, so I'm gonna have to go and do some other stuff for a little bit. But yeah, for now, thank you very much for stopping by, hanging out. If you want a notification on when my next stream will be, I try to stream Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Start times between 4 and 6 p.m. UK time. If you want exact details on the day when the stream is going to be, you can look underneath my stream in the description, or type !Twitter into the chat, and you'll get my Twitter, where I'll always tweet 30 minutes to an hour before I start a stream. So if you want forewarning, want to be there from the start for any of them, you can do that. You can also find all prior VoDs on YouTube, again under the stream in the description, or !YouTube into the chat to get to that. I've played quite a few different games previously, so you can check those out. Yeah, for now, thank you very much for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed your stay, and I will see you next time.